Welcome to another Sticky3D Control tutorial. Today we're going to make a character interact with the environment. I'm using some assets from the excellent Toon series, which is available on the Asset Store. However, you can use whatever assets you have. I've set up one of the Toon characters here to work with Sticky3D Controller. Be sure to check out our tutorial on adding your own models. Our player wants to cross the road, but first we need to make sure the walk signals work on the crossing. So I'm going to create a new empty game object, and I'm going to call that walk signal. I'm going to add a demo cycle renderers, and this will allow us to turn on and off the renderers and make our signals flash. So I'm going to lock the inspector here, and then I'm going to find my signals in the scene. Let me just zoom in on them a bit. I'm going to add a renderer to my first group, and I'm going to make that my red light. And then in my second group, I'm going to add another one, and this one I'm going to make the green light. We want to enable the group 1 on start, and that way our red don't walk man will be lit when the scene first starts. We'll set the flashing interval on our red to maybe be 0.2 of a second, and on our green flashing man we'll make that flash a bit slower. We want to make a bit of a delay, so when the user presses the button, which we'll create in a minute, we want the green man to come on maybe 10 seconds later, and we want the red man to also disable 10 seconds after the user presses the walk button. I'm going to unlock the inspector, and then we'll zoom back out a bit. We'll find the post where we want to put the button to activate the walk sign. So that's going to be over here. I'm going to just scroll down to prefab. So I've got some props here, and I've got my button. I'm just going to put the button here near this post in the street light. Let's just zoom in so we can have a bit of a look at it. We want to rotate that a bit. So let's just rotate it around and then move it into position. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. Move over a little bit. So now we have our button in the scene, and you can see it has this demo cycle materials, and basically what's we want it to have to happen here is when the user clicks on the button with their hand, we change the materials here, and you can see it looks like the button's flashing. So we want to make our button interactive, so let's go up to the component menu and go Sticky3D Controller. We want objects, and we want to add a sticky interactive component here. We want to say initialize on start, and in this case we want the button to be touchable. So we want our character to be able to touch the button and take some action, which we'll configure in a moment. Let's set the handhold position of the interactive enabled device. In this case we want the palm of the hand to face upwards on the button. So we'll go to the little find button here, so it'll turn on our gizmos. And we want to maybe pull it out a little bit. If we kind of align ourselves here a bit better in the scene, we can see what's going on. And we want to Now we want to rotate it. Now, if you think about this, the little sphere here wants to point in the direction that the thumb would face. We need to rotate him around a bit, and we're going to make the hand or the fingers point upwards. So you just need to kind of zoom in a bit and see what's going on. So maybe that looks okay. And you can test it out in the scene a few times and adjust that however you need to until your hand-eye K is working correctly with your character and the button. We want three things to happen when the character clicks on the button. So on our sticky interactive component here, let's go down to on touched. We're going to add a new event there. And we want to drag in our button. And the first thing we want to do, we want our button to turn on. Now we're using the first group, so we'll just select one there. And then we want two other events to happen. We want our walk signals to, first thing we want to turn off our first group, which was the red man. And then we'll add another event here. And we want to turn on the second group, which is our renderer for the little green Walkman. I need to modify the collider of the street light so that our button can be seen outside the collider of the post. So let's just move that in a bit. So back on our character, what we want to do is now configure the palm positions to make sure our IK works correctly. So we'll go to the Animate tab. We're going to turn Hand IK on for a second so that we can see what's happening here. By default, the palms are the same location and rotation as a hand or wrist bone. That's obviously not what we want, so we need to adjust those. We need to adjust the palm offset and rotation to suit our rig. So first we're going to do the offset, so we'll move it a little, move it a bit out and down. Maybe 0.02 by 0.06, maybe that looks better. And we need to do this for left and right hand as well. So looks okay, so then we can do the rotation. Now adjust the palm rotation. The small sphere should generally be pointing in the direction of the thumb, and we want our palm rotation to be pointing downwards. However, all rigs have different skeleton bone rotations, and the thumb and or the palm direction may need to be flipped. This is a bit of trial and error, so I tested on a known object with hand IK, and you might need to flip these values so that they look correct. We're going to use the sticky display module to help us track where the character is looking. So we'll drag the prefab into the scene. And let's just change the active display reticle to the second one. Now we're going to create a new game object, and we're going to call this sample interactive, or maybe sample interactive. And from the component menu, we're going to say Sticky Controller samples, and we want the hand interact. We're going to hook up our character to it and our display module. And we want to turn on head IK. So this will let the head move wherever we're looking. We want our character to take action when we tell it to. So let's go to the character and our sticky input module. We'll create a new custom input. We'll set it to be a button, and we'll change this to maybe I on the keyboard. We'll add a new event. Let's drag in our interactive sample script, and we'll choose toggle interactive. This will just allow us to turn it on and off in the scene. We'll add a second custom input for mouse. That's the left mouse button. We'll add an event, and this time we're going to use the character. And let's look at, we need to have sticky control enable, and we're going to use enable look at interactive. By default, using the right hand, this will attempt to take the appropriate action for the interactive enabled object we're looking at. In our case, we want the character's right hand to attempt to touch the button on the light post. Okay, let's just give it a final check over to see if we have everything set correctly. So we'll just turn off hand IK for the moment. Our script will turn that on for us. Oh, we need to turn on initialize on start for our hand interact script. Let's go to walk signals. We might have this around the wrong way. We want our interact first group to be delayed by 10 seconds when it turns off, and we want our walk man to be delayed by 10 seconds when it activates. Okay, let's give that a try and see what happens. So we have our add man flashing. So let's walk over here to the button we created earlier. Turn on interactive so we can look around. Let's click on the button. There you can see the button started. Hopefully our green man will come on soon so we can walk across the road. Well, that's it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us on our Unity forum or Discord channel. And thank you for watching.